After watching these videos, you may associate yourself with the symptoms. However, we strictly advise against self-diagnose. Immediately consult a licensed clinical psychologist or psychiatrist for your doubts. Today, in the fourth video of our mental illness series, we are going to talk about depression. Depression is a mental health disorder in which a person constantly feels sad and feels disinterested in day-to-day activities. This causes significant impairment in daily life. This persistent feeling of sadness or loss of interest can lead to a range of behavioral and physical symptoms such as changes in sleep, appetite, energy level, concentration, daily behavior, or self-esteem. People struggling with depression are often expected to snap out of it and are told, "It's all in your head, choose to be happy, just try to be positive." Such sentiments reflect a deep misunderstanding of depression. It only makes the person with depression feel worse. So let us understand the concept of depression better by understanding the difference between sadness and depression. Sadness is an emotion. It is natural to feel sad when one experiences loss, disappointment, problems, or other difficult situations. Feeling sad from time to time is just another part of being human. Some of the ways in which we usually express sadness might be feeling low, feeling down, or feeling blue. One may even say that they are feeling depressed. However, these emotions usually do not last for more than a couple of days and do not cause severe impairment in our day-to-day functioning. After experiencing feelings of sadness, it is easier to come to our routine life, unlike that of being in a state of depression. Depression, on the other hand, is a mental illness that not only affects mood, but it also involves having negative thoughts related to oneself, that is feeling worthless, related to the world, that is feeling helpless, or related to the future, that is feeling hopeless. People who experience depression may also experience an unreasonable amount of guilt. Depression can last longer than 2 weeks and it doesn't usually go away on its own. It impacts life significantly. Depression also goes by different names such as clinical depression, major depressive disorder, or major depression. Depression is more than just sadness. It's a real illness and it is very treatable. So what do we mean by depression is more than just sadness? What happens to a person who is suffering from clinical depression? Along with feeling sad, tearful, empty, or hopeless, the patients can also feel irritable or frustrated over small matters. This can result in anger outbursts. Clients can also feel anxious, agitated, or restless. As mentioned earlier, patients start losing interest in day-to-day activities or hobbies, including sexual activities. They often complain that they do not have energy or get easily tired even after a small task. Their sleep pattern gets disturbed, where they may sleep too much or too less. Along with the sleep, their appetite also gets affected, and they either start having increased cravings or experience loss of appetite. This can result in weight gain or weight loss. Apart from these, their thinking, speech, and body movements slow down. They fixate on past failures or events and engage in excessive self-blame or guilt. Often, patients find it difficult to concentrate on any task. They struggle with decision-making and experience difficulty remembering things. In some patients, frequent suicidal thoughts may be present. Some may even attempt suicide. Sometimes, patients also experience unexplained physical symptoms. Most common physical complaints are headaches and back pain. How does it develop? Just like any other mental illness, depression can develop as a result of different biological, psychological, and social factors that interact with each other. To know and understand better about this, check out our video on the biopsychosocial model of illness. Link is given in the description box. Depression and brain. Many people believe that depression is not real. However, it has been established in various studies that different neurotransmitters that are present in our brain, such as dopamine, serotonin, histamine, and norepinephrine, are imbalanced in patients with depression. Structural abnormalities have also been observed in patients suffering from depression. These abnormalities are found in hippocampus, amygdala, and prefrontal cortex. Various symptoms of depression, such as memory impairment, sleep disturbance, reduced activity, and difficulty making decisions, are related to these abnormalities. Suicide and depression. Suicide is commonly associated but not limited to depression. Major depression can have different severity levels, and strong suicidal thoughts or risk of suicide can occur in patients suffering from severe depression. The assessment of the severity levels are done only by licensed mental health professionals. Now let us look into one of the important theories that explain depression. This theory was given by Aaron Beck, and it is called Beck's cognitive theory. Though the most prominent symptom of depression is related to the mood, Beck suggested that the symptoms related to thoughts come first, which then causes symptoms in the mood. According to this theory, a person develops rigid and counterproductive belief system. For example, if everyone does not love me, then my life is worthless. These beliefs are developed in childhood and adolescence as a result of one's experience with family and significant others. This makes them vulnerable to develop depression. These dysfunctional beliefs get activated in a stressful situation, and a person starts experiencing negative thoughts in different situations without being aware of the process. These thoughts fuel the current thinking pattern of the individual, creating a pattern of negative automatic thoughts. These thoughts are erroneous, and there are few types of these errors or cognitive biases. Let us look at few examples of such biases. All or none thinking. This involves a tendency to think in extremes. If I can't do it right, then there's no point doing it at all. Selective abstraction. This involves a tendency to focus on one negative detail of a situation while ignoring the other elements of the situation. One might say, I did not have any moment of fun today. Not because this is true, but because one has selectively remembered only the negative things that happened that day. Arbitrary inference. This involves jumping to a conclusion based on minimal or no evidence. A patient with just initial session of therapy may say, this therapy will never work for me. Let us now see how this theory unfolds in a case study. This is a fictional case with no attempt to resemble anyone. If there is any resemblance, it is purely coincidental. This is a case of a young girl X. When X was 8 years old, her parents had an ugly divorce which was emotionally overwhelming to her. She was not offered any emotional aid and her emotions remained unresolved. At school, she had one friend who she was very close to and she used to share her ordeal with her. When X was 10 years old, that friend had to move to another school in a different city because of her father's transfer. X felt a deep loss in her attachment once again. She was very distressed, but again no emotional help was provided. She developed a belief system that whoever she gets attached to happens to leave her. Life moved on. When X started working at an office, she started romantically liking and getting attached to a colleague who was friendly to her. One day she approached the person but got rejected. This affected their friendship. This rejection impacted her so much that it triggered her old belief that whoever she gets attached to happens to leave her. Due to this belief, she started having difficulty with her friends. Because every time she met her friends, she started interpreting their behavior and words in a way that made her feel that they are going to leave her. This was clearly a change in her thought process. And due to this change in her thoughts, she started feeling lonely even if she was with her friends. She felt sad and irritated. Because of the change in her thoughts and emotion, her behavior changed too. She stopped answering calls from her friends or started snapping at her family members. Due to this constant thought process, she started feeling tired most of the times. There were days when she had to push herself to do her day-to-day activities. Her sleep also got disturbed. This continued for more than a month. She was then diagnosed with major depression. Treatment. A person undergoing any of the mentioned symptoms must get assessed by a licensed mental health practitioner who will first determine the severity of the symptoms. The treatment options include medications to regulate the biological changes and psychotherapy for the psychosocial aspects of the depression. Research has found that the combination of medication and psychotherapy shows better results. With this, we conclude this video. Thank you.
Thank you. Please like and subscribe our channel for more of such information nuggets.